Ladies and gentlemen, friends of DNV, welcome to the launch of this year's edition of our Maritime Forecast to 2050. My task here today is to give you the broader context of the global energy transition unfolding around the transition in maritime. There's a lot of talk these days about whether the energy transition is slowing down or even reversing. People talk about slow EV sales and failed wind projects in the Western world as evidence for this. But despite decarbonization slowing down within certain industries in certain areas of the world, the energy transition is still very much moving forward if you look at the totality across the world. At DNV, we look at the long lines of development, and these lines show that the costs for solar, wind, and batteries will continue to decrease, and we are seeing and will see exponential uptake of those technologies. We also know that the transition doesn't happen smoothly. Some technologies will pull ahead, others will fall behind, and some will trade places down the line. Right now, the technologies doing really well are solar and batteries. Investment in solar will be at record levels again this year and is expected to exceed $500 billion. More money is now going into solar PV than all other electricity generation technologies combined. Battery production will also set new records this year and is expected to quadruple by 2030. What about wind power? Well, we saw record onshore installations last year and a projected recovery of offshore wind this year, overriding some challenges brought by inflation, interest rates, and difficult supply chains. However, for the continued success of offshore wind, we need more supportive and predictable policies for wind power developers. At DNV, we forecast that solar and wind will make up 50% of global electricity generation by 2040. 50%. One might question why an electricity forecast is relevant for a shipping audience. Well, one of the points we make in this year's Maritime Forecast is that shipping needs to cooperate heavily with land-based sectors to secure a transition to carbon-neutral fuels. We believe it's a key challenge, a key strategic challenge, for example, to try to understand where renewable power and electrolyzer capacity are likely to be concentrated. Making electricity green, though, is the easier part of the energy transition. The real challenge, where progress is even reversing in some cases, lies within the hard-to-electrify sectors. Hydrogen-derived fuels, also biofuels, are expensive now and will remain relatively expensive in the future, even with technology development and cost downs. Yeah. Their uptake relies heavily on policy backing, both with the carrot and the stick, so incentives like we see with the IRA in the US, and taxation like we see here in US on price on carbon. In Europe, like we see on price on carbon. So unfortunately, we will see continued uncertainty in this area for shipping in the years to come, as we detail in our Maritime Forecast. But doing nothing in the face of uncertainty is not an option. Energy efficiency improvements, as you heard in the video, are becoming ever more urgent. As you will later hear also from our Maritime Forecast editor, Erik Overum, in a minute. The same goes for efficiencies coming from digitalization and data-driven decisions. The shipping industry has shown that it can take bold and brave action based on scientific evidence, and I remain confident that it will tackle the decarbonization challenge with boldness and in a spirit of collaboration. As ever, DNV stands committed passionately to facilitate collaboration and action to the benefit of all stakeholders.